What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and this is Arrow Season 6, Episodes 4 and 5. And finally, gosh, just when I thought this season was going to have nothing good in it, we finally get a light at the end of the tunnel. Something to look forward to. It doesn't come in Episode 4. Episode 5, though, was fantastic. It's still got a lot of problems, don't get me wrong. Like, I still find myself facepalming in a lot of the show right now. But Episode 5 was great for a few good reasons. So, first let's talk about Episode 4, Reversal. This one, I don't get it. Why does this show think that we want to see more of Oliver trying to be a dad and he and Felicity hooking up and then Felicity dealing with... Why do we care? I don't care about any of this. It's like they're trying to force this idea of Oliver wants to turn his life around. Oliver wants to stop being part of Team Arrow. Look, the show revolves around Oliver, right? That is your main character of the show. You're trying to change the show to make it to where Diggle is now the main... Or not, no, you're not even trying to make it to where Diggle's the main character. You're just trying to make it to where Diggle is now Green Arrow and Oliver's still the main character, so we still got to focus on him. You need to make a decision. Either Diggle is now your main character and Oliver needs to step aside completely, or bring Oliver back to Team Arrow. But doing this half and half thing where you're still focused on Oliver and what he's going through, trying to be a dad, trying to deal with Felicity, this is Supergirl stuff. You know, like looking at soap opera drama type stuff. Oh, who's he gonna like next? Oh, how's his family gonna get... I don't care. This is a superhero show, not a soap opera. Why do we keep focusing all of these like family drama and relationship drama? What is this? This is not Supergirl. This is Arrow. I Did you forget for a second? Did you forget for this first part of the season? Guys, we've been doing too much action stuff. I know this is a show about a vigilante hero, but I just feel like we've been doing too much action stuff. Let's just take a break. Let's just look at, oh, he's got a son now. He needs to be a dad. Let's look at what that can bring. Because that's what most people who tune in to watch a superhero show, they want to see a dad trying to get through to his son and trying to be a dad. You know, that's what they want to see their main character go through. Idiots. Freaking idiots. So yeah, this entire fourth episode was mainly just Felicity and Oliver. You know, the team pretty much took backstage. They helped out a little bit at the end whenever Black Siren and what's his name, Caden James, I think. Whenever they are attacking, what's the hacktivist group called? Helix. They go to Helix, where Helix was based out of, and Felicity was working for them, and they start attacking. That's when the team finally shows up because they realize, oh, that's where they were going this whole time. That's the only use they had in this episode. The rest of it was all just Felicity and Oliver. You know, Felicity and Oliver, they're having a dinner for the first time in a while, and everybody's like, oh, you guys getting back together? Oh, that's so sweet, and all the characters are saying all this stuff. I'm like, who cares? Who cares? I want to see fighting. I want to see action. I want to see Team Arrow at work. But instead we get Felicity and Oliver hanging out. And then we get the what's-her-face from Helix coming back to Felicity and saying, hey, the guy that we got out last year, the one that we broke a lot of laws to break out of prison, yeah, apparently he's a bad guy. I mean, who could have seen that coming? I thought he was a good guy. He ended up in prison because he was such a good guy. They had to lock him up so he couldn't spread his goodness around the world. And now he wants to take over the world. Who knew that a guy that ends up in prison might be a bad guy? I never saw that coming in 100 years. Who could have possibly thought that geniuses wouldn't be able to figure out that a guy that ends up in prison is probably going to be a bad guy? I guess nobody realized. I certainly wouldn't have thought that. My first thought would not have been, you know what, guy in prison probably going to be a bad guy. Never would have crossed my mind. So 100% makes sense that all of a sudden now he's a bad guy trying to take over the world, and nobody saw it coming to me. I mean, if that doesn't make sense to you guys, then clearly you just lost your mind or something. Unlike the writers of this show, they haven't lost their mind or anything. So, yeah, we got to deal with that. Apparently, Caden James is the guy that went and got Black Siren on Lian Yu when everything was exploding. Still don't know how she came back to life after being shot. You know, like I said, all we saw was her body lying there after being shot. Apparently, Caden James walks up to her and then she just goes. So, still don't know why she survived, how she survived, if she came back to life, or if she just randomly wasn't dead. I don't know. It's probably something they're just gonna skip over because logic doesn't matter anymore. Um, so that's pretty much all this episode is just trying to track down Caden James and Black Siren, and she's going killing all these people who apparently have access to the internet. And at the end of the episode, Caden James gets access to the internet, and nothing happens. Next episode, no talk about it. It's just nobody's talking about it at all. It's just all sort of pushed aside. You know, bad guy gets exactly what he wants. He can now harm millions of people around the world. But who cares? We need to push that to the side for now because it's not that important. You know, bad guy getting exactly what he wanted now can terrorize millions of people, possibly billions of people. Who cares? Let's move on. But to be fair, I'm glad they moved on because this next episode was, like I said, it was good. It was really enjoyable. Not to be saying that there were no non-enjoyable parts. There definitely were a lot of problems with this episode still, but there's a lot of redeeming qualities, finally. And that's something I can't say about the first 4 episodes of the season. There were no really redeeming qualities in the first 4 episodes. This one actually has something enjoyable, something I can watch and be like, yes, please give me more. But so first, let's get through the stuff that's just kind of Vigilante returns, and we finally get him to take his mask off because, you know, now that Prometheus is gone and Adrian Chase isn't around, there's no reason to have Vigilante be a mystery anymore. Because that was pretty much his only reason for being in last season, was to make us think, oh, well, Adrian Chase is probably Vigilante, so he can't be Prometheus. And so that little twisteroo was great, but now Vigilante's sort of lost his purpose, so let's take his mask off now. It turns out apparently it's Dinah's former partner. I guess somehow he's a meta because of the blast, even though he got shot in the head during the blast. I'll be very curious to see exactly what powers he got, because how can you just take a shot to the head and then re-heal? You know, like, it seems a little bit too fortunate that, oh yeah, any shot to the head, anything like that, I can just re-heal. I'm completely invincible. No shots can kill me. No bullets can kill me. I don't know how I got this power. It's kind of a weird and out of nowhere nonsensical power to bring me back to life, but you know what? It works, I guess. I don't know. The emotion's okay. You know, you do sort of feel Dinah's, I guess, frustration and also sort of worry and concern that maybe he's not the same person that she thinks he is, and you can understand all of that, and they do portray it very well, but I don't know, there's just so many cliches with this. You got obviously the Arrow dead people coming back to life cliche has been done to death. But there's just so many things about this that it's just like, why do you have to bring him back in this way? Why can't you come up with a bit? Maybe she didn't actually see what happened, but she saw him get shot in the head. So it's not like, oh, maybe he just survived and he does have powers. No, it's like, no, I get shot in the head, I survive. It's my power now. It just seems a little too, like, out of nowhere and way too nonsensical a power that it feels like the only reason that he has his power is to survive and come back to be an emotional foil for Dinah to work off of. But aside from that, you know, there's just a lot of cliche lines. I'm trying to remember some of them now. Oh, I almost forgot the cliche line from episode 4. Whenever Oliver is talking to Felicity at the end of the episode, and she's talking about, you know, how she feels horrible for letting Kate and James out, and it's all her fault. She's like, what would me say to you whenever you were going through all this stuff? And then he's just like, you know, well, you know, you don't need to look at the past, and just spits out all of these cliche lines. And she's like, how did you do all of this alone? And like, let me guess, I wasn't alone? So I wasn't alone. I'm like, oh, look at that. I can call this script because that's how predictable and cliche it is. There are a few lines like that with Dinah and this guy. You know, I can't remember Oh, there was one that, what was it? Crap, I don't think I can remember it now. But there was one that just, as soon as Dinah said something, I said exactly what I knew he was about to say, and he said it. I'm just like, really, guys? Like, you're just spitting out all this predictable cliche lines that almost always comes around whenever somebody reunites with somebody they haven't seen in years. It feels like they just have no more original stuff. They're just writing, hey, I've heard this about 100 million times, but I'm sure none of our audience has, so let's write this in. It's just, why can't you write more clever stuff? Why can't you write something a bit different? This just all feels like I've seen it before. Oh, random guy that you thought was dead is not dead, and now, you two had a history, and so a lot of talking about that. It almost feels like whenever we found out Sarah wasn't dead, Oliver and her going through their thing, and whatever the case is, I guess it's a bit better than most of what we've seen this season because one of the mysteries about Vigilante have been revealed, and now he's going to be, I guess, a little bigger part about the show now. But whatever the case, you also look at the story for Vigilante in this episode, and basically all he's here is just to kind of further this whole, oh guys, the Vigilante bill is going to be passed or not passed, and people are going to vote on it soon. What's going to happen? Well, Vigilante, of course, shows up to stop the Vigilante Recording Act or whatever recording. The Vigilante, I don't remember what it's called now, and frankly, I don't care. It just kind of feels like something that is sort of in the way for now, but ultimately will probably not matter in the long run. If it does get passed, okay, well now they're just going to be hunted by the police, and I mean they pretty much most of these first 6 seasons they have been hunted by the police. I think seasons 2 and 3 they were hunted by the police, so it doesn't feel like anything will change there. But if it doesn't get passed and it gets knocked down, well then you're just free to be a vigilante. And it's like, okay, well it makes their job easier, so what do we care? But basically this is all leading to Vigilante tries to kill Councilman Pollard to, I guess, stop the bill, but then she's like, well, the bill won't be stopped. And they said, well, this is just one less corrupt politician. I'm like, okay, so, what's the point of all this? And then Dinah, of course, steps in, saves her, but doesn't change her mind because if she was just like, oh, a vigilante saved me, I guess vigilantes are okay, then this story would just go away. And the show clearly wants to just push this story out as long as possible. So, of course, they're not just going to let it end here. But yeah, so that's basically all that happens with this. We also have a little bit of dialogue with like Felicity and Diggle and their distrust of Slade, because now we are getting to the best thing about the season so far, the only good thing about the season so far. The title of the episode is Deathstroke Returns, so Deathstroke returns. Slade comes back to Oliver saying that he needs help finding his son because apparently his son was captured by this group of terrorists that he used to work for, I think. And so he asks Oliver to come sort of be a diplomat and help out in getting his son back. And so, of course, through all of this, I'm thinking, are we really just going to do this? Are we really just going to be like, oh, Oliver comes over to help and then he just goes and gets his son back? Well, ultimately, we get to a point where Oliver goes to, get his son out of there. And the guy who's running this prison says, well, I wish you'd come sooner because apparently Slade's son is dead. And so it's kind of like, this feels like it's setting up for a Slade badass scene. Please deliver a Slade badass scene. All I could think was, if you deny me a Slade badass scene, if you for some reason have Oliver step in and be like, we're not gonna kill or something like that, I would flip out. I would have flipped out and probably just shit all over this episode. But they gave it to us. They gave it to us. Because he knocks out Oliver, he gives him something in his drink to knock him unconscious, and pretty much tells Oliver in a letter, hey, go home, be a father, thank you for reminding me that I am one. And he just goes to this place where he knows his son was taken to be tortured, and he just wipes out all these guys. Like, it had to be like 20 to 30 guys. He's just shooting them up, stabbing them. Oh, it was Deathstroke like I've wanted to see Deathstroke for so long now. It took me back to season 2 when things were actually good on the show and Deathstroke was tearing through people and it was awesome. And you're just like, yes, give me more of this. That's what it brought me back to. I'm just like, oh, the nostalgia. I've missed you so much, Slade. Thank you for coming back and giving me something to enjoy this season. Um, so yeah, he wrecks all of these guys, and then all of a sudden he's surrounded by all these guys. He takes off his mask for some reason. I'm not really sure why he did that. Um, but ultimately he's surrounded, so he kind of stops for a second to, I guess, not get shot. And then in walks this guy, and we find out this is apparently his brother who's involved in all of this. And so, of course, Slade's just like, I knew you were involved in this somehow, but I didn't think you were in charge. You're not smart enough. He's like, where's the boss? And so his brother kind of taunts him a little bit more, and is just taunting him, talking down to him, pretty much calling him an idiot for even coming here. And then finally, it's revealed that Slade's son is now in charge of this group. And I was just like, yes! Because that's where the episode ends, which means we're gonna get more of this. I hope. I swear, if this show manages to ruin this story, which the ways they could ruin it, one, you kill off Slade. If you kill off Slade, I'm gonna kill every single writer. Okay, shouldn't say that because that sounds like a threat. I'm going to find all of the writers of Arrow and punch them all in the face. Because you can't kill off Slade. He's your best character. He's the only good thing about the season at all. So you can't kill him off. Two, you just sort of end the story. If Slade's just like, son, I can't believe I found you. And his son's just like, Father, you need to leave now. And then he leaves. And then that's it. And there's nothing else with Slade. He's just like, well, I found my son. He's okay. I'm disappointed in myself. And then you just kind of end it there. There needs to be a continuation of this story. 3, if you for some reason just don't have Slade doing any more badass stuff. For whatever reason, if he decides he's not going to kill anybody else, if he's just going to be like, all right, I'm done, I'm hanging up the cowl, I'm hanging up the mask, I'd be pretty pissed off, because you need Slade. Like I said, Slade is awesome. So, yeah, those are 3 ways that they could possibly ruin it. There are probably several ways that they could ruin this story, but there are also several ways that they could take this and actually make it something interesting to make this season overall a little bit more interesting. Because we're on episode 5, and we've had one good episode. And even then, half of the episode wasn't that interesting. All the stuff with Dinah and her ex-boyfriend coming back from the dead. It's just kind of cliche. It's stuff I've seen before. The Slade stuff, though, was a lot of fun. It was very exciting. Even the flashbacks with his son back in the day, it wasn't great. It wasn't handled very well because the scenes were very, very short, which I feel like if you cut out a lot of the Dinah stuff and focus more on Slade, you could have these flashbacks extend a little bit longer and make it a lot more fun. But as it is, it's like literally 10, 15-second clips of him and his son on an outing, and then he becomes Deathstroke to kill this one guy that he saw randomly out there. And it's just kind of like, okay, we know he's probably gonna be. It's another one of those cliche stories where we see a dad who has a second life that his son or daughter doesn't know about, taking their son or daughter out on some sort of trip just for it to turn into, I've actually got work to do out here. We've seen that before, so it's nothing that surprising. But I feel like you really could have extended those scenes to sort of build the relationship between Slade and his son, because it was so short, I didn't really get to feel that emotion. Obviously Manu Bennett did a very good job of expressing that emotion, but all of it was felt in the present. I didn't get to feel any of that in the flashbacks, so the flashbacks were sort of a waste. So that's about my only complaint as far as the Deathstroke story is concerned. Everything else, like I said, it was perfectly set up to have Slade go wreck some people. He went and wrecked some people. It ended on a bit of a cliffhanger, finding out his son is still alive and in charge of this group that he's trying to take down. And so it's kind of a question of, what do you do now? Do you stop your son? Do you join your son? Do you tell him, this isn't right, I don't want this life for you? What's going to happen next? I don't know. But I'm really, really hoping they do something not only interesting, but something fun with it. Don't make this boring. Don't turn this into Oliver's story again, where it's just kind of like, oh, I don't want you to be a part of this anymore, and oh, you need to stand down. We're not going to fight anymore. This is a superhero show, guys. They're supposed to be fighting. So please give me more. Whatever the case, that's about it for these 2 episodes. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on these 2 episodes? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for your Arrow reviews. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.